All right, so welcome to our first official Average Ontario Anglers unboxing. Now, this is not a review at all. Every time we buy tackle, which as you can tell, it happens quite a bit, we're going to show you guys some of the tackle that we pick up because it kind of shows, what we'll be doing the next year, but it might also give you ideas of something that you might want to purchase in the future. And if you're someone who buys a lot of tackle like us, we'll be able to compare it to other stuff that we've got in the past. So this particular box I got from Ezoko, which is a really awesome musky and pike fishing store in Quebec. I've never been there, but I have ordered probably 4 or 5 times from them because they sell a lot of really cool stuff. It's a lot of stuff that you can't find anywhere else. They get a lot of stuff imported in from Europe, stuff for pike fishing that we can use here in Ontario for musky fishing as well. So we're going to show you some of the stuff. Andrew hasn't seen any of this stuff, so I'm excited because I'm going to see his reaction to it. So check this out. Again, we're going to put links below in the bio for all this stuff. So if you want to check it out yourself, by all means do that. They're not affiliate links. Just go for it.
And Jesse says we're not going to review it, which is true. But I am definitely going to share my, opinion, as wrong as it probably will be. But
so we do a lot of musky fishing, as you can tell. But
that's right. I went twice last year.
well, I got a 50-inch, so it happens. So we're going to try, I really wanted to try this for a few years, is the European pike stuff. The pike stuff, they have a completely different style of how they fish their swim baits and stuff like that. So for an example, I'll use this for example. This is a very popular swim bait. This is a water wolf shadzilla. The harness is built into the bait. That's generally speaking how, American and Canadian swim bait manufacturers make their baits. And that works great. Europeans do it completely different. They actually have a harness system, which I wanted to try. So I'm going to show you first some of the baits that we picked up. These are, it's funny names. So they're called gator gums. So that's actually a soft plastic. So we'll go into these up close in a second. So I got a bunch of these swim baits.
And these have no rig in them, right? These are just essentially just large soft plastic that you need a rig for.
So you buy the soft plastic completely separately. This is a pretty cool color. Kind of looks like a crappie. The color was not called crappie at all. It was called punk parrot. Makes no sense to me, but this actually looks like a crappie. So this would be similar size, slightly smaller than a shadzilla, but you're looking at a bait that's, 8 inches long, 9 inches long, something like that. And then that one there is similar size to like what we would use as a, a shadzilla junior.
Yeah, I looked at for pike. This is an amazing size, this one here. Yeah, and I think this is the, what did it say? The 18 centimeter. You did the math, 1 inch is 2.5 centimeters. So
yeah, so similar size to that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Now there are advantages.
I like this color too.
It's nice. It's like just a classic gold color, like kind of a wally color. But the advantages, you may ask, like, why wouldn't you have the rig built inside? The advantages are if you do have a rig on the outside. I'll show you a bait here. This is just an example. I did rig up this system on a Water Wolf Lures Shadzilla Junior. These are not designed for that because these are hollow, but I'm just using this as an example. So basically the harness goes into the bait. So when you actually hook a fish and it grabs onto the hooks and you set the hook, generally speaking, these hooks will pop out. They'll pull out of the bait. So these hooks will stay in the fish's mouth.
Yep.
And these fish have big sharp teeth and the bait will actually swing out of the mouth. Gives them less leverage to throw the hook, but it also saves your bait. Because the fish isn't just, choshing down and destroying. You remember.
When we caught the 50, that bait has like gashes all the way down to the harness in it.
Yeah. That
you have to glue and if you want to keep using it. Now, I retired that bait because it caught me at 50. But if I want to reuse it, I have to re-glue that bait.
Yeah, which is fine. You can catch a bunch of musky off one bait and just keep going together. Or you could buy baits that are cheaper than a fully rigged bait and try to protect it. Now, this particular is a screw system, which I'll show you guys. It's very secure. That's not going to rip out of a bait. So as the fish is flailing around, this bait isn't going to rip off. It's going to stand there. And these are all swivels. You can also get them in wire. So it allows the fish to turn and twist and not get any leverage.
I really like the swivels because, again, like now Water Wolf, I mean, his stuff has good action, but when you have the rigged ones, again, just the tail can really bend. The rest is fixed. And it's not against Water Wolf. That's any fixed rig bait or pre-rigged bait like that. But with a harness like you have rigged up on that one, with all the swivels and stuff, the whole thing will flex because even when swimming with the hooks rigged in, it's all on swivels. So that whole bait can turn and bend.
Yeah.
So the action of it's going to be a bit more free and perhaps better because it's not restricted by an internal skeleton.
For sure. So I'm excited to try that. I got these two, generally speaking, for musky fishing, also pike fishing. Obviously, pike and a big pike will eat any of those. But I got these for mostly musky fishing, but we're going to be trying to do some pike fishing on that. Now, I'm going to show you, before we get into the next ones.
This is, but okay.
Before we show you this, I just want to show you this rig. So this is the Pike Craft. It's called The System. It's The System. It makes the most sense. There's tons of ways that these guys rig out their baits. They're all generally the same, but this one makes the most sense to me. So it's basically a system that you get these screws that go into your bait. And then the cool thing is it comes with a bunch of different weights that have a certain slot in them. So you can basically screw it into the bait, which I have one in here. I'm just going to stick this in here quick so I don't stab myself. But you have your bait, and then say you have this certain size of weight that's like half ounce, and you're like, you know what, I want to fish a bit shallower. This pops off. You put on the shallower one. The kits come with like 5 or 6 different weights. So for me, it's the versatility. I'm like, okay, here's a bait that their logo or their slogan is change the weight, not the bait. So if you buy a rigged swim bait, it's a certain weight, and it's hard to add or take weight away. To add weight, you could be like, okay, I'll put maybe like a weighted leader on it or something like that, or add a bell sinker to it.
But then you're retying, or even the bell sinkers. The bell sinkers kind of swim free.
Yeah.
And you can get some, again, for like bulldogs and stuff, but you're buying a specific weight for that one bait. Yeah. This is nice. You can rig anything onto
and
that
you
screw.
Can change it in seconds. Yeah. So you just slip that on. Yeah. So this is the Pike Craft system. I got a deep.
And then it just attaches above it, so that weight's never going to come off because it's attached to your line.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's super easy to do. Now, it's the more expensive system to buy. There are way cheaper systems to buy, but for me, I could buy 2 of these systems, the deep one and the heavy system, and I'm basically being able to cover from fishing 2 feet of water all the way down to like 30 plus feet of water if I had to. So I do like that. And then again, this hook chain, it slips on there too. So say you want to be like, okay, I need to switch hooks. I had to cut a hook off. This whole swivel is an oval, so it actually just easily comes on and off. This particular size is the this is the large size rig. I also picked up some medium sized rigs that only have 1 hook on them. But for baits that are about this big, I'm talking 7 to 8 inches, the large size rig is the one that you're going to want. It tells you right on the website what size to get. But if you're going to be chucking bigger baits, like over 10, 12 inches, there's also an extra large size, which I didn't pick up, which I probably will. But it's really cool. I like that. It's versatile.
I got to pick some up for sure.
Yeah. It's like all these things, like, yeah, to get started, it may be a little bit of money up front, but it's not too bad once you get it down and you have a few baits. And then these screws that you put in the baits, you can also buy those bulk too. So you literally just leave that in the bait. If you're at the end of the day, you can take off the hooks, you can take off the weight, and just leave that in the bait, and you're good. You don't have to worry about it. So that's the system, and those are some of the baits. But I'll show you some of the other baits that we got for the system. I picked up one of these boom shads from Storm.
Yes.
So we got some of these at other places. I have a gold one here that I picked up at another shop locally, but they ran out of all the good colors. And I think they only had like a bunch of weird colors left. So this is a very cool color. This is smelt, which I mean, that just looks pikey. Has Pike written all over it.
Great Lakes Pike.
Yeah. 7-inch. Again, you could use the rig with 2 hooks on it. That thing's going to be sick. Really cool fluttering action. Now, these are really cool, and I'm excited to see what Andrew says. So this, in Europe, these are like super, super popular.
I like the logo.
Yeah. These are called pig shads. Pig shads, they're super cool. This is the junior size, so they're 8 inches long.
I love the profile.
They're thin, yeah.
I love that profile.
It's almost like a pike.
Yeah.
So you know muskie actually eat a lot of pike.
Yeah. Oh, that's
long and thin.
I like that a lot. A nice hook slit on top too.
Yeah, you can also rig it with a very large beast hook.
Yeah. That is awesome. I like this as a profile. I really like this over some of these thicker ones.
Yeah.
I find, and it's got a thin tail. You could probably almost it would have an erratic jerk too. Like this, it's not too much draw, so you can actually like really work it in if you wanted to kind of give it a good snap.
Like, similar size to this. It's actually the same length. but half as thick.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different profile. But these are so popular in Europe. These are like
that.
the main swim bait that everyone uses.
Yeah.
They have a very weird face. We'll show you some close-ups of that. But I got just the classic perch color. I don't think it really generally matters. Like I wanted something like a pike color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
To get those in a pike pattern would be amazing.
But for this size, it wasn't available. So, or maybe, I don't know. I just chose to get the classic perch. It just looks fishy.
Yes.
For the Kawarthas and where we fish, everything eats perch. So that's cool. Those are the pink shads. Very popular. And it comes in a 2-pack. So it's actually, they're not cheap, but they're not, I wouldn't say they're expensive either at the same time. But really excited to try those. They smell good too. Now this is something else from the same brand. This is very cool. So this is the Pigtail Junior. So instead of a swim bait, it's a big curly tail grub basically. So it's the same body size, or the same design. It's got that pig face, but it's got a big curly tail.
Yeah, the body is it's a slightly smaller body, but yeah. I like that in the thick tip too, so it's gonna grab water well.
And there's a rattle in the tail.
As
it's flailing around, you're gonna have a little bit of a noise.
Thick pike size.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to rig that just with again the Euro rig, the medium size maybe with just like a light weight. Has like slowly going down.
Or imagine a big beast hook and just chucking it in the lily pads and just pulling it right through. Yeah. This color too, it's called Roach. It almost looks like a classic like Tennessee shad color, but I really like the looks of that. And this is the kind of bait you're gonna chuck out, and depending on the weight, you're just gonna slowly reel it in, and that tail's just gonna be like just swimming.
Yeah.
And pike. And you watch all the European pike videos, they use a lot of big curly tails and stuff. And this is a small one, believe me. Like they have this comes in a bigger size and a magnum size, and it's like giant.
The tail is nice and slender too. Like I know it's a smaller bait, it's not huge, but this tail is like really slender. So it's just gonna like undulate. Yeah. I like that word. But that's I like that. Yeah. It's a really good ratio of like tail to body.
Yeah. I'm excited. That's the one bait I'm the most excited.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's called the Pigtail Pigtail Junior. Very cool. The one other thing I picked up, which is pretty cool, is I picked up Ezoko has the Suic Pro Series weight kit. So it's a weight kit for a Suic. Now a lot of dive baits that you buy nowadays, they come weighted or unweighted, but a lot of them now they come with a weight system. So you can transfer, add weight to it, take it away. And, you buy a Suic that's unweighted, you're pretty much going to be fishing in 2 feet of water. They only dive about 2 feet, maybe 3 feet.
Yep. And
then the weighted ones, you get it down a little bit more. But you have to have multiple Suics. Like I said, it's like that weight system. You can't change. You're like, oh, I have to change my bait, not the weight. But with this, you can change the weight. So I have a Suic, a high impact Suic. It's the plastic one.
Yes.
So what you do is you just drill a little hole, and then you can glue it into that hole, and then it allows you, it has a threaded insert. You can add the weight. It comes with 5 different weights. So that's cool. So if you already have a Suic and you want it to have interchangeable weights, you don't have to buy a new bait. You can just buy one of these kits. They're like $14.
Yeah.
And you're good to go. I mean, you don't have to put it on a Suic. You can put it on any bait. Right?
Yeah.
You can put this on a glide bait. You get it down deeper in the fall.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So I've seen it before, but I've never seen these kits around us.
I've never seen them in any
That's
local
what's cool
shops.
about Ezoko is they have, like you said, they have a lot of European stuff, but they have stuff that you've heard of, and you're like, I wish I could find that in the store. You'll look forever, and then they randomly have it on their website.
Yeah. No, they've got a huge selection of musky gear. And if you've heard of Ezoko, you probably know this.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, anytime I've ordered from Ezoko anyway, they give you a lot of stickers. So, a whole bunch of Ezoko stickers you can put on your tackle boxes. Big ones for the back of your truck or your boat. Even some Pike Craft stickers. That's cool. Other cool stuff. A Pike Craft keychain.
That's awesome.
And
the boat keys on it.
A Pike Craft, what is it, like a bracelet?
Bracelet, yep.
Yeah, I'm not going to wear that, but okay. And as always, they send out your receipt and they...
Oh, a handwritten note?
Handwritten note from Julian. They're just like, Jesse, you're the best musky guy. Just kidding, he never said that.
No, it says, we hope you catch one over 34 this year.
Well, I hope so too. But anyway, those are some of the baits that I picked up at Ezoko. We're really excited to try this stuff. This stuff is not new for sure, but in the area, it's stuff that you don't see at any of the local shops, obviously. So it's very cool. Definitely check out Ezoko. They're a local company here in Canada, so you can spend your money and keep it here in Canada. So I'd like to add one more thing, a new rod that I got. And it's not, I didn't get it at Ezoko. I got it at one of my local shops, but I thought it added in this. I'm excited. So I have a few Mojo Musky rods, but I end up getting the new one with the handle. My first impressions of this rod, I'm a huge St. Croix fan. I have about 30 St. Croix rods. Not musky rods, just every different rods. Ice fishing rods, trout rods, bass rods, everything. Big fan of the Mojos. They're very high quality rods. They're not budget rods. Everyone's like, oh, that's a budget rod. They're not. They're $350 to $400. Like, they're not budget rods. They're really high quality rods. The only thing I don't like about this new Mojo series is they have this really cheap cork, like mix composite stuff. Not a big fan of that. I'll probably put some grip shrink tube over that, like I do with my other Mojos. I do like this big.
Are you gonna fill in the gap like you do in the other ones too?
Yeah, I don't like split grip. I'm not a fan. I'm gonna try it first because I don't know how it's gonna feel, but I do really like this handle that's built in. The cool thing with this rod is you may wonder how you can change the handles, but it's actually very easy. So you take the reel off, give an assistant, it's easier. It literally just pops out.
Let some line out here so I'm not strangling Jesse.
Yeah. So this handle, it comes with 3 different handles. We'll post another video about this rod specifically, but it literally just pops in, and when you lock it back in, it's not coming out. And once you lock your reel down on top of it, it's not coming out. And the way that, I think we talked about this in the podcast, is I never have any fear that my reel is going to come out of the reel seat. So I have no fear that this is going to pop out, because it goes into the reel seat the same way basically that your reel goes in. So if you have confidence that your reel is going to break out of the rod, you don't have to worry about the handle, I would hope. Anyway, so we're excited to try it. This is the 8.6 extra heavy. This is going to be my big rubber rod. I like a slightly shorter rod because a lot of times we're fishing out of small boats. But yeah, I'm excited to try this rod. It's a very stiff rod. I got this rod for fishing like regular size Medusas, above, mag dogs, stuff like that, like big chunky stuff.
It's gonna do well with doing figure 8s on big rubbers that have a lot of draw. Like,
absolutely,
it'll still handle a figure 8 well.
And when you're fishing, like for instance, when you're fishing a big rubber bait, like this is a regular Medusa. This isn't giant, right? But it is a big bait. I had one that I was fishing this in like early December, and I had a musky come up, T-bone the thing, and I set the hook, what I thought pretty hard, with an extra heavy rod. It wasn't that rod. It was a slightly softer rod, and I didn't get the hooks into the fish good enough because it must have had its teeth buried in the plastic. So I was pulling the fish. I had him on for probably at least 10 seconds. He came up, and then he just turned his head, and the bait just flew out of his mouth because the hooks weren't in the thing. So you definitely need a super stiff rod to literally just crack those fish, to move that rubber bait inside of their mouth.
Yeah.
That's why you get those big slashes in your bait, because their teeth stick into the bait, and then you rip it through so that the hooks actually penetrate into their bony mouth, and then you actually get them hooked. So unfortunately, I don't like fishing with a stiff rod, but since we do fish in small boats that often move when you set the hook, like a small canoe, having a stiffer rod, it kind of like helps a bit for that. I find a lot of guys in bigger boats would be like, oh, you need a longer rod, you need a rod with this and that. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but when you fish in really small boats like kayaks and canoes, it's slightly different. So anyway, that was fun, and now we have to clean up all this, but we're gonna do this every month or so.
And now I need to put another order into Ezoko before the fall, like musky. I'm like, okay, or even just before spring musky, summer musky.
Musky Odyssey's coming up though.
I know. Yeah, I'll look for some of the stuff at Ezoko. I mean, don't go to Ezoko before me at a Musky Odyssey. I want first crack at these things in person.
Yeah, and if you are going to Musky Odyssey, we're actually working at the Water Wolf Lures booth.
Yep.
So we're going to be there showing off some baits, helping Mike sell his popular Shadzillas and Ratzillas and tubes and all that stuff. So we're going to be there. So definitely come over and say hi. If you have any of this stuff, comment below. If you like it, if you don't like it, we'd like to hear your experiences.
Absolutely.
So anyway, catch you in the next one.